There's a quiet magic in what remains unsaid. Our modern world constantly nudges us to lay bare every part of ourselves, our triumphs, our heartbreaks, our missteps, and our deepest aspirations. But have you ever paused to wonder what drives this relentless urge to disclose so much? Silence, far from being a void, is often deeply misunderstood. Many mistake it for timidity, insecurity, or a lack of inner strength. Yet silence is, in truth, one of the most potent forces we can wield. It's within these hushed spaces that profound personal shifts often begin. In a world clamoring for attention, where everyone races to be heard, those who choose quiet observation over constant expression often gather the deepest wisdom. Not every facet of life needs to be broadcast, and not every story is meant for an audience. Some tales are best kept close, cradled in the private chambers of our hearts, shielded from the world's endless clamor. Opting for silence carves out a vital space for introspection. Rushing to speak or oversharing often paves the way for miscommunications, distorted meanings, and needless complexities. Words, once uttered, are irreversible. They can be twisted, exploited, and weaponized by those whose intentions are far from benign. It's no coincidence that truly wise people speak sparingly and listen intently. They grasp that silence affords them the chance to dissect situations, to genuinely comprehend others, and to forge decisions free from external pressures. Not everything warrants a public airing, because not everyone listens with an open mind. Many tune in only to judge, to fuel gossip, or to leverage what they hear for their own gain. When we divulge too much, we lay bare our tender spots to those who might not cherish them. People might feign concern, yet deep down, they could be cataloging our words, ready to deploy them as ammunition when opportunity strikes. The less others know of our struggles, our aspirations, and our innermost feelings, the less sway they hold over our lives. Silence acts as a shield, guarding us against unsolicited opinions, harsh judgments, and the corrosive negativity that often stems from confiding in the wrong ears. Life is a tapestry of unforeseen twists, and not every thread is meant for public display. In this era of pervasive social media, there's an almost irresistible pressure to broadcast every detail of our existence, our triumphs, our setbacks, our relationships, even our most intimate struggles. Yet, the truth is, the more we reveal, the more we invite potentially disruptive energies into our sphere. When we flaunt our happiness, envy often lurks close behind. When we lay bare our vulnerabilities, some may seize the chance to undermine us. There's profound wisdom in guarding certain parts of our lives, allowing them to mature organically, free from outside meddling. Silence is also a powerful balm for the soul, instrumental in healing. During trying periods, the impulse to articulate our pain to others is strong. And while seeking support is crucial, ceaselessly rehashing our wounds can, paradoxically, deepen them. True solace often resides in quiet introspection, in granting ourselves the time and space to process emotions internally, rather than constantly seeking external validation. When we hold our pain within, we cultivate resilience, growing stronger from it, rather than depending on outside perspectives that may not always be sincere. The sheer power of silence is mirrored vividly in nature itself. The most exquisite phenomena often bloom in quietude. Consider a seed, buried deep within the earth, concealed from the world's gaze. It doesn't trumpet its fight for life, nor does it demand recognition. It simply grows, silently, steadily, until it bursts through the soil when its moment arrives. In the same vein, our ambitions and dreams ought to be cultivated in stillness. When we toil in silence, we strip away distractions. Our focus shifts entirely to our own advancement, free from the chatter of what others might think. And when the time is truly ripe, our achievements will speak volumes on their own. Beyond growth, silence also sharpens our focus, bringing profound clarity. Amidst the din of chaos, when the world feels like an overwhelming torrent, silence offers the ultimate sanctuary. It grants us the vital distance from external clamor, allowing us to delve back into our own thoughts. This quiet introspection fortifies us, enabling us to confront obstacles with a clear, calm mind, rather than succumbing to impulsive reactions. Those who cultivate silence often possess superior emotional mastery, rendering them more resilient when faced with adversity. Instead of squandering energy on idle chatter, they channel it directly into devising solutions. Indeed, individuals who harness the power of silence often command the deepest respect. They guard their inner world, revealing only what they choose, which makes them enigmatically unpredictable. Their very silence compels attention, piquing curiosity and making others genuinely eager to hear what they will eventually say. Unlike those who prattle on without substance, their words resonate with gravity, precisely because they are delivered with deliberate intention. They grasp that authentic strength isn't about ceaselessly proving oneself, but about discerning the precise moment to speak and the wisdom to remain still. Not every skirmish demands a verbal response. In fact, sometimes silence itself is the most potent counterpunch. When confronted with negativity, withholding a reaction starves the other person of the fuel they crave. It deftly sidesteps needless confrontation and permits the tension to dissipate naturally. So many arguments and breakdowns in understanding spiral out of control because individuals feel compelled to justify themselves with a torrent of words. Yet, often, silence speaks volumes more than any spoken declaration ever could. It stands as a profound testament to self-mastery, unwavering confidence, and deep wisdom. Furthermore, silence safeguards our precious energy. Continuous engagement in dialogues, debates, and casual chatter can be profoundly draining. Not every perspective warrants our attention, and not every circumstance demands our involvement. By consciously choosing silence, we channel our energy toward what genuinely holds significance. We liberate ourselves from superfluous drama, thereby focusing intently on our personal evolution and well-being. In a culture that ceaselessly champions outward expression, the choice for silence becomes a profound act of self-preservation, a deliberate insulation of our inner peace from the surrounding tumult. Truly, not everything in our lives begs to be revealed, for not everyone merits access to its intricacies. Some narratives are destined to be treasured within the deepest recesses of our hearts, preserved from the world's often harsh judgments. Silence isn't an absence, it's a profound presence. It is wisdom crystallized, the formidable strength to discern when to articulate and when to let the quiet itself convey the message. There's an undeniable potency in mystery. In a world seemingly compelled to expose every detail, those who cultivate an aura of reserve immediately capture attention. There is immense power in keeping aspects of yourself veiled. When people know less, their minds are left to conjure possibilities. And these assumptions are potent, capable of stirring intrigue, fostering respect, and even generating a degree of awe or apprehension. Naturally, enigmatic individuals command a certain gravitas, not because they seek it, but because their measured silence and deliberate restraint ignite curiosity. It's inherent in human nature. We are undeniably drawn to the unknown, to what we can't easily decipher. The instant someone becomes an open book, that magnetic mystery dissolves, and with it, much of their perceived influence. When every facet of a person is laid bare for public scrutiny, they become utterly predictable. And while predictability can offer comfort, it rarely confers power. Conversely, those who reveal sparingly sustain an unpredictable quality that keeps others captivated. The less you articulate, the more earnestly people strive to piece you together. And in that very effort, they often construct an image of you that surpasses even reality. When specifics about you are scarce, people inevitably begin to invent the missing pieces. They craft their own narratives, and more often than not, these conjectures work to your benefit. Some might credit you with greater wisdom than you possess. Others may perceive you as wielding more influence than is truly the case. Many will simply be left in a state of tantalizing uncertainty, which in itself provides a powerful advantage. This very uncertainty begets power, for when others cannot fully decode you, they cannot readily manipulate you. They are unable to foresee your next move, nor can they pinpoint your vulnerabilities. In stark contrast, an individual who is an open book becomes all too simple to read, to evaluate, and ultimately to control. Mystery also serves as an impregnable shield. When your complete narrative remains untold, it cannot be weaponized against you. So many individuals endure pain precisely because they trust too readily and divulge too much. They cling to the belief that transparency and candor will forge deeper connections. But the harsh truth is, it often only invites needless complications. Not every ear that listens is genuinely supportive. Some listen to harvest information, to seek leverage, or to turn your own words against you when the opportune moment arises. By deliberately guarding certain aspects of your life, you fortify yourself against these concealed dangers. Someone who speaks too freely of their aspirations, ambitions, and personal life inherently exposes themselves to the peril of sabotage. There's an age-old adage, move in silence and let success make the noise. When you scatter your dreams among too many, you unwittingly sow seeds of doubt, envy, and negativity in your path. Some will feign encouragement while secretly relishing your potential failure. Others might even seize your nascent ideas and rush to execute them before you can. The more you retain for yourself, the greater your mastery over your own fate. A subtle yet powerful byproduct of mystery is the respect it commands. Cast your mind back to the figures most revered and, at times, feared throughout history. They weren't the ceaseless talkers or those who laid bare every facet of their existence. Instead, they were the ones who weighed each word, revealed little, yet acted with unwavering resolve. Their very enigma forged an aura of undeniable authority. When such individuals finally chose to speak, audiences hung on their every word, for their pronouncements were rare and imbued with gravity. Conversely, those who chatter incessantly, dissecting every minute detail of their lives, often dilute their own credibility. Their words devolve into mere background noise, easily disregarded because they are so readily available. But when a person articulates only when truly necessary, their voice possesses an undeniable resonance. People naturally afford more deference to those they cannot entirely fathom. While an open book might be well-liked, they are not always genuinely respected. There exists a delicate balance between being approachable and being taken for granted. Those who cultivate a degree of mystery often discover they are treated with greater dignity and seriousness. Their insights are more highly prized, and their presence carries deeper weight. They are not easily brushed aside, precisely because an element of compelling uncertainty perpetually surrounds them. Even within our closest personal bonds, a touch of mystery can prove advantageous. When every secret is laid bare too swiftly, the initial spark of excitement can dwindle. Be it in friendships, romantic partnerships, or professional circles, a measured dose of the unknown sustains engagement. It keeps others intrigued, pondering, and eager to uncover more. This measured restraint cultivates depth and fascination, qualities that etch a person into memory. Crucially, mystery isn't about outright deception, it's about conscious control. It's about exercising agency over what portions of yourself you present to the world, and what sanctuary remains fiercely private. It ensures your tender spots are guarded, your strengths are amplified, and your essence resonates even when you're not physically present. Those who truly master the delicate art of mystery inherently grasp that less ultimately means more. The less others definitively know about you, the more powerfully they are compelled to speculate. And within that speculation, they bestow upon you an influence not to be underestimated. Let's face a difficult truth. Not everyone who hears you out is genuinely in your corner. Our world teems with individuals who master the art of feigning concern, yet whose underlying motives are far from benign. Some listen purely from idle curiosity, others to cast judgment, and a dangerous few listen solely to unearth vulnerabilities they can later exploit. This is a bitter pill to swallow, yet a vital reality to embrace. We often cling to the hopeful notion that by sharing our thoughts, our burdens, and our ambitions, we'll be met with unwavering support, heartfelt encouragement, or at the very least, empathetic understanding. But experience frequently tells a different story. Not every smile masks goodwill. Not every offered ear is extended with true kindness. And not every question about your life springs from a place of genuine care. There are those whose listening isn't about understanding, but about dismantling. They're quick to dispense judgments, not out of a desire to assist, but to unearth imperfections. They actively seek out your frailties, your shortcomings, any scrap of evidence to disprove the strength you project. These individuals have no stake in your growth. Their interest lies solely in holding you up against the yardstick of their own insecurities. When they witness your ascent, it starkly highlights their own perceived deficiencies. Instead of focusing on their own betterment, they choose the easier path of trying to drag others down. Their critiques are never a testament to your value, but rather a glaring mirror reflecting their own fears and limitations. Then there are the information gatherers. They put on a convincing show of empathy, asking probing questions, making you feel safe enough to confide. Yet, beneath that veneer, their intentions are anything but pure. They meticulously log details about your life, not to applaud your victories, but to furnish fodder for idle chatter. They patiently await the opportune moment to twist your words, transforming them into juicy gossip. They play the part of an ally, but in truth, they are mere voyeurs, watching and waiting to insert your private narrative into conversations never meant for your ears. And finally, some listen purely for the sake of competition. They don't view your struggles as opportunities for empathy. Instead, they see them as benchmarks for their own existence. Share your hardships, and they'll quickly counter with tales of greater woe. Speak of your accomplishments, and they'll instantly attempt to belittle them by drawing comparisons to their own. These individuals aren't genuinely invested in your journey. Their sole preoccupation is proving their own superiority. They are not true allies, for they find it impossible to genuinely celebrate the successes of others without feeling personally threatened. Among the most perilous listeners is the one cloaked in the guise of friendship. They exude support, appearing to genuinely care, but their kindness is merely skin-deep. These are the individuals who will applaud your achievements publicly, yet secretly seethe with envy in private. They'll offer congratulations with their lips, all while their hearts harbor resentment. Their desire isn't for your outright failure, but certainly not for your success to eclipse their own. Such individuals are notoriously difficult to unmask, for they wear the veneer of friendship with chilling perfection. They remain close enough to glean every detail about you, yet distant enough to never truly celebrate your being. The critical error we often make is equating listening with genuine concern. But listening isn't always an act of empathy. Sometimes it's a calculated maneuver, a tool to judge, to compare, to criticize, or to manipulate. The more we confide in the wrong people, the wider the access we grant them to our inner world. And with that increased access comes a greater leverage over our emotional landscape. Not everyone deserves privy to our struggles. Not everyone has earned the right to hear our most cherished dreams. While our world certainly holds kind-hearted souls, it is equally populated by those who merely play the part. Discerning the difference is paramount. This isn't an invitation to become aloof or distrusting of all, but rather to cultivate discernment, to be selective about those to whom we bare our hearts. There will always be those rare gems who listen with sincere empathy, who ardently desire our success, who celebrate our triumphs as if they were their own. But they are few and they are precious. The wisdom lies in observation, in testing, and in learning. A true ally will uplift you even when you have nothing to offer in return. They will stand steadfastly by you, not just through your failures but also through your successes, devoid of any trace of resentment. A true well-wisher doesn't just hear your words, they understand your essence. They don't just listen, they feel. Guard your words, shield your emotions, and above all, protect the sanctuary of your trust. The world is awash with listeners, but not all harbor pure intentions. Choose your confidants wisely, for not everyone desires your well-being. Dreams are incredibly fragile vessels. They ignite within us as a faint spark, a vision seen only by our inner eye. They demand steadfast nurturing, boundless patience, and unyielding belief to coalesce into reality. Yet, the instant we speak of them too freely, we expose them to energies that can either fuel their ascent or utterly extinguish them. Not every soul is meant to glimpse your deepest aspirations, and not every ear bent toward you harbors pure intentions. The more we articulate our ambitions, the wider we throw open the gates for uninvited opinions, crippling doubts, and corrosive negativity to seep in. There's a distinct magic in guarding our dreams. When we hold them close, they remain pristine, untainted by the world's pervasive skepticism. But when we divulge them too openly, we inadvertently allow external forces to warp our perception of our own potential. Some will indeed offer encouragement, but far more will project their own fears onto us. They will enumerate the reasons why something is impossible, why it's too arduous, why we should settle for something smaller, something safer. These words, often cloaked in the garb of concern, can insidiously plant seeds of doubt within our minds. A dream once vibrant and resolute can become shrouded in hesitation, simply because another person lacked faith. The detrimental energies aren't always overtly hostile. Sometimes, they manifest as subtle discouragement, cunningly disguised as well-meaning advice. A seemingly innocent query like, "Are you certain that's wise?" Or, "What if it all falls apart?" These seemingly innocuous phrases carry immense gravity. They compel us to second-guess ourselves, introducing a hesitancy that is often the first step toward capitulation. When we permit too many external voices to infiltrate our private vision, our clarity inevitably blurs. The dream we once saw so vividly begins to dim, slowly fading under the oppressive weight of external misgivings. Jealousy, an insidious and silent force, is yet another threat to our dreams. Not everyone wishes for our triumph. Some listen, not to lend aid, but to draw comparisons, measuring our aspirations against the confines of their own perceived limitations. When they witness us reaching for higher ground, a palpable discomfort stirs within them. Instead of offering encouragement, they dismiss our aims. Instead of celebrating, they diminish. Recognizing their own lack of daring to pursue something grander, they then endeavor to convince us that we, too, should refrain. These individuals may not always overtly discourage us. Sometimes it manifests as a casual jest, a fleeting remark, or a subtle shift in their demeanor towards us. Their mere presence can erode our self-belief if we aren't vigilantly protective. Prematurely sharing dreams also invites undue pressure. The instant we declare our intentions, we unwittingly set expectations, not just for ourselves, but for others. Suddenly, eyes are upon us. People begin scrutinizing our progress. Should we falter, or if our timeline extends beyond their patience, their impatience can inflict a profound sense of failure upon us. The reality is, dreams demand time. They necessitate relentless effort, unavoidable setbacks, and crucial adaptations. Yet, when we allow too many into the sanctuary of our vision, we become burdened by the weight of their judgment. We find ourselves rushing, driven by an urgent need to prove something, rather than immersing ourselves fully in the journey itself. This dynamic can dangerously redirect our motivation from genuine internal fulfillment toward a precarious pursuit of external validation. Furthermore, there lurks the very real danger of idea theft. Not every listener to our dreams means well. Some are merely poised to appropriate. If an idea is unveiled before it's adequately safeguarded, someone else, equipped with superior resources, connections, or experience, might seize and execute it first. The world is fiercely competitive, and while the wellspring of creativity is boundless, opportunities are finite. By speaking too soon, we risk surrendering something destined to be ours before we've even had the chance to manifest it into existence. Beyond the specter of external interference, there's an inherent energetic dynamic at play. Every thought, every nascent dream, vibrates with a particular energy. When we endlessly articulate our aspirations, we sometimes inadvertently dissipate the very energy required to manifest them. Speaking extensively about our dreams can grant a fleeting sense of accomplishment, a deceptive feeling that mere words are equivalent to tangible progress. Yet, a chasm separates speech from action. The more we vocalize, the less we often do. The potent energy destined for creation instead dissolves into unproductive dialogue. We become complacent, satisfied with the mere idea, forgetting that dreams only materialize when concerted effort supplants empty rhetoric. Dreams, in essence, are like delicate seeds. They demand to be sown in stillness, nourished in solitude, and sheltered from harsh elements until they possess the innate strength to flourish independently. If prematurely exposed, they may never truly take root, perhaps withering before they ever have a chance to blossom. This is precisely why the most accomplished individuals often keep their plans under wraps. They labor quietly, allowing their eventual outcomes to serve as their eloquent declaration. They intuitively understand that dreams require a protected space, a sanctuary from doubt, envy, and corrosive energy, in which to mature. To keep dreams private is not to forsake guidance or support. Rather, it means exercising meticulous discernment in choosing our confidants. It means recognizing that not every individual merits access to our most cherished visions. Some will genuinely nurture our dreams, helping them to thrive. Others, however, will drain them of vitality before they have a chance to bloom into reality. The crux lies in recognizing this crucial distinction and fiercely safeguarding what is ours until its season arrives. Happiness stands as one of the most sublime experiences we can encounter. Yet, it is also profoundly delicate. It thrives most robustly in privacy, sheltered from the world's clamor, shielded from unsolicited views, and freed from the burdensome weight of external judgment. In an era where every facet of life is routinely broadcast, the practice of guarding one's happiness has grown remarkably scarce. Yet, those who truly comprehend the quiet force of silence recognize that what is cultivated in secrecy flourishes unhindered. The instant happiness is unveiled, it becomes acutely vulnerable. It beckons prying eyes, invites a flood of opinions, and sometimes even breeds corrosive jealousy. Not every soul who witnesses your joy will genuinely celebrate it. Some will undoubtedly admire, but others will silently resent. A few might find inspiration, while a darker current secretly yearns for its collapse. The more people are privy to the joys in your life, the more you inadvertently invite energies that clash with your inner tranquility. By keeping happiness veiled, you protect it from needless scrutiny. Privacy allows joy to burgeon authentically, unburdened by external demands. When we herald our happiness to the world, we inadvertently conjure expectations we then feel compelled to uphold to maintain the facade of our joy. The moment we permit too many people access to our intimate moments, we begin to feel perpetually observed. Our lives become less about our own fulfillment and more about garnering validation from others. Suddenly, our happiness ceases to be a purely internal state. It transforms into a performance, judged by its appearance. This shift is perilous. For genuine happiness is an inward radiance, not a spectacle demanding display or external proof. There's an incomparable serenity in savoring moments purely for oneself, free from the urge to publicize them. When joy is held close, it remains intimately ours, immune to the sting of outside opinions, unshaken by superfluous commentary. Conversely, the instant we usher the world into our happiness, we inadvertently cede a fraction of it. People invariably begin to dissect it, to scrutinize it, to weigh it against their own experiences. While some will indeed join in our genuine celebration, others will perceive our joy through the jaded prism of their own discontent. Their reactions, whether overtly expressed or subtly conveyed, can undeniably chip away at something once pristine and unblemished. Negativity, regrettably, often infiltrates happiness when it's too freely shared. Our world abounds with individuals grappling with their own internal turmoil. When such individuals encounter another's bliss, their response isn't always favorable. Some will harbor bitterness. Others will be consumed by envy, and many will unconsciously project their own unhappiness onto what you possess. They might subtly question your worthiness of such fortune or attempt to diminish it by drawing unfavorable comparisons to their own lives. Even a seemingly casual, carelessly spoken remark can sow a potent seed of doubt within your mind. This is the insidious manner in which negativity slowly, subtly encroaches, until it begins to distort your very perception of your own happiness. Crucially, privacy empowers us to safeguard the very things we hold dearest. Relationships, career milestones, and deeply personal achievements all flourish most vibrantly when cultivated in stillness. When a bond is kept private, it breathes freely, unburdened by outside scrutiny or meddling. The instant too many become aware, a cascade of opinions inevitably forms. Some will offer support, but others will meticulously seek out imperfections. Some will grant respect, while others will actively seek avenues to inject negativity. A relationship finds its greatest strength when it's forged intimately between two people, not diluted between two people and the entire world. To keep it private isn't to conceal it, it's to shield its delicate foundation from extraneous influences that could otherwise compromise it. The identical principle holds true for personal success. Accomplishments resonate with far greater significance when savored in solitude or within a tight, trusted circle. The moment they are broadcast too widely, they transform into fodder for public discourse. People begin to construct expectations, and with those expectations comes an insidious pressure. Instead of relishing success for its intrinsic value, we find ourselves fretting over how others will perceive it. Will they deem it sufficiently impressive? Will they measure it against their own triumphs? Will they attempt to minimize its significance? These are internal interrogations that ought never to intrude upon our joy. Yet, they frequently do, once we permit too many voices into the sacred space of our personal victories. Yet another profound reason happiness blossoms in privacy is its power to anchor us to what genuinely matters. When our minds aren't preoccupied with the incessant urge to share every joyous flicker, we become profoundly more present within those moments. We inhabit life more deeply, unburdened by the compulsion to capture and broadcast. Indeed, some of life's most exquisite experiences are those simply lived, free from an audience, unmarred by the chase for external validation. The hushed moments, the quiet triumphs, the intimate delights, they accrue a far richer meaning when safeguarded within, pristine and untouched by the outside world. Silence, then, is a potent form of sanctuary. It permits happiness to establish deep roots and expand unhindered. It wards off negativity and preserves the intrinsic purity of the treasures we hold dear. While sharing joy can, at times, foster connection, it can equally introduce unforeseen complexities. The wisdom lies in discerning what to offer and what to hold sacred. Not every blessing requires an announcement. Not every delight demands a public exhibition. Some of life's most profound happiness is the kind that is simply felt, rather than articulated. When joy is carefully cultivated in silence, it gathers an unparalleled power. It stands resilient against external expectations, insulated from corrosive energies, and untarnished by the comparisons of others. It unfurls on its own timeline, in its own inimitable manner, utterly independent of the need for validation. And when it finally matures into robust strength, when it has fully flourished, it will need no grand proclamation. It will simply resonate, deeply and unmistakably, within. Vulnerability, a concept often championed as a hallmark of strength and authenticity, is in truth a double-edged sword. While it can indeed forge profound connections, it also possesses the perilous capacity to become a potent weapon in the wrong hands. In some utopian ideal, laying bare our fears, our battles, and our deepest insecurities would unfailingly lead to empathy, unwavering support, and genuine communion. Yet, the stark realities of life often teach us a different lesson. Once another person becomes privy to our weaknesses, they gain an unsettling leverage, the power to exploit those very frailties against us. What we confide in moments of deepest trust can, with chilling suddenness, transform into ammunition, wielded unexpectedly when we least anticipate it. This underscores why diligently guarding our vulnerabilities is as crucial as courageously embracing them. Not every individual who attentively hears our struggles does so with benevolent intent. Some might present a facade of sympathy, nodding understandingly, offering comforting words, creating an illusion of safety in our openness. But the sobering truth is, not all listeners are allies. Some meticulously catalog information, patiently awaiting the opportune moment to leverage it for their own gain. They don't perceive vulnerability as an invitation to human connection. Rather, they see it as a strategic opening. The deeper their insight into our hurts, the greater the control they subtly acquire. Be it in friendships, romantic partnerships, professional arenas, or broader social circles, there are always those who seek to manipulate by mercilessly preying upon the insecurities of others. One of the most pervasive abuses of vulnerability manifests as emotional manipulation. Once an individual discerns your fears, they can mercilessly exploit them, cultivating feelings of guilt, crippling insecurity, or profound dependency. They might dredge up past failures the moment you attempt to forge ahead. They could wield your deepest anxieties to shackle you within circumstances that no longer serve your well-being. They might even insidiously convince you that, bereft of their presence, you would utterly flounder. This brand of manipulation is often subtle, yet devastatingly effective, as it meticulously erodes self-worth and erects formidable barriers to escaping toxic dynamics. Another treacherous avenue through which weaknesses are weaponized is outright betrayal. When we confide our personal struggles to another, we naturally presuppose discretion. But not everyone holds trust in the same sacred regard. Some, in surges of anger, jealousy, or sheer self-interest, will brazenly expose our vulnerabilities to others. They might air our secrets as gossip, shamelessly contorting the truth to fit their own malicious narrative. They could exploit our difficulties to elevate their own standing, to garner sympathy from onlookers, or to inflict lasting damage upon our reputation. Such betrayal stings with particular ferocity because it originates from those we once implicitly trusted, those we believed would shelter us, not inflict grievous harm. Vulnerability, moreover, can be honed into an instrument of control. In dysfunctional relationships, both personal and professional, those who grasp our weaknesses can deftly maneuver them to influence our decisions. Should they recognize our fear of abandonment, they might brandish the threat of departure whenever we assert ourselves. If they perceive our struggle with self-assurance, they may subtly erode our confidence, leaving us feeling utterly incapable of success. If our approval-seeking tendencies are known, they might deliberately withhold praise or validation, thereby cultivating a dependency. The deeper someone's insight into our emotional tender spots, the effortlessly they can pull our strings and orchestrate our very choices. Within professional spheres, the act of revealing vulnerabilities can precipitate severe repercussions. While countless workplaces advocate for transparency and candor, it's a naive assumption that all colleagues or superiors genuinely champion our best interests. Disclosing a personal struggle or weakness in an ill-chosen context can lead to being bypassed for advancements, enduring inequitable treatment, or even being stigmatized as incompetent. In cutthroat settings, those who perceive us as rivals may readily weaponize our admissions against us, casting doubt on our capabilities or trustworthiness. A private confidence can swiftly morph into justification for exclusion, whether deliberately orchestrated or not. The advent of social media has regrettably amplified the ease with which vulnerabilities can be exploited. In this hyperconnected digital epoch, individuals broadcast their struggles, emotions, and anxieties online, often under the hopeful misconception that such expression will elicit support. While some responses may indeed be benevolent, there invariably exists the grim possibility of judgment, harsh criticism, or outright exploitation. The Internet, famously, possesses an unyielding memory, and whatever is posted in a moment of unguarded vulnerability can resurface at any juncture, often in ways that inflict profound damage. A heartfelt confession can be wrenched from its original context, distorted into a cruel jest, or even deployed to maliciously assault one's character. The more we expose, the more precarious our grip becomes on our own narrative. It is paramount to internalize that not everyone merits access to our deepest fears and struggles. Vulnerability, therefore, should be reserved for those who have unequivocally earned our trust, never to be freely dispersed to every inquirer. There is profound strength in discerning precisely when to open up and when to maintain a vigilant guard. Discerning whom we confide in is not an act of coldness or detachment. It is an essential measure to preserve our emotional well-being. Just as we would never entrust the keys to our sanctuary to a stranger, we should not surrender the keys to our inner world to just anyone. Firm boundaries are indispensable for safeguarding our tender spots. To be selective with our trust does not equate to stifling our emotions or foregoing all support. Instead, It demands a keen ability to distinguish between those who genuinely care and those who are merely collecting intelligence. Authentic support emanates from those who respect our battles, who offer counsel devoid of judgment, and who would never weaponize our pain for personal leverage. True allies do not diminish us for our vulnerability. They create an environment where our openness feels safe. There is undeniable power in the conscious curation of what we reveal. Some internal battles are best waged in solitude. Some wounds heal more profoundly in silence. Some fears begin to recede when they aren't perpetually given voice. Shielding our vulnerabilities isn't about projecting an unwavering strength at all times. It's about acknowledging the inherent value of our emotions and refusing to place them into hands that might exploit them. At its very core, self-awareness reigns supreme. When we attain a deep understanding of our own emotional landscape, we naturally diminish our reliance on external validation. As we fortify our inner confidence, we significantly curtail the likelihood of being manipulated. And by learning to place our trust wisely, we cultivate relationships that genuinely uplift, rather than insidiously exploit. Vulnerability itself is not a weakness. Rather, it is the permission for its misuse that truly weakens us. The more diligently we protect our emotional sanctuary, the greater our mastery over our own narrative, and the less power we unwittingly cede to those who seek to exploit our struggles for their own nefarious ends. Actions possess a profound resonance that words often struggle to achieve. While words can indeed inspire, influence, and offer solace, they are also easily forgotten, misconstrued, or even deliberately twisted. Actions, on the other hand, engrave an indelible mark. They fundamentally define character, sculpt perceptions, and meticulously forge reputations. An individual who speaks sparingly yet acts with unwavering purpose and integrity commands far greater respect than one who prattles on endlessly but delivers little. It is through consistent, deliberate action that true impact is realized, and it is through this steadfast consistency that an enduring legacy is meticulously built. In a world where individuals are quick to speak, to promise, and to voice their opinions, the rare soul who prioritizes doing over talking stands out luminously. It's effortless to declare intentions, actually following through demands discipline, steadfast commitment, and resilient perseverance. A person whose actions are guided by clear intent rarely needs to verbally assert their capabilities. Their work eloquently speaks for itself. Whether in the intimate spheres of personal relationships, the dynamic arenas of workplaces, or the broader fabric of society, those who consistently take action are the true catalysts for change, the builders of trust, and the ones who carve out a truly meaningful presence. It's an undeniable truth. Actions etch themselves into memory far more deeply than words. A promise uttered but never delivered quickly fades into oblivion. But a heartfelt gesture, a selfless sacrifice, or a powerful display of resilience imprints itself enduringly on the minds of those who bear witness. A leader who exemplifies their message through action garners far greater esteem than one who merely delivers eloquent speeches. A friend who actively shows up during times of crisis is cherished more deeply than one who offers only platitudes. An individual who quietly toils toward their aspirations, without constant public declarations, commands significantly more admiration than someone who endlessly verbalizes their dreams but never takes tangible steps to realize them. Silence, when synergistically combined with purposeful action, cultivates an irresistible aura of mystery and potency. It sparks genuine curiosity, compelling people to observe rather than merely listen. In stark contrast, those who speak excessively often find their words stripped of significance. The more someone articulates without corresponding action, the less seriously they are regarded. When an individual speaks infrequently but takes decisive, impactful steps, their very presence assumes a greater gravitas. Others are drawn to them, not by the allure of their rhetoric, but by the compelling evidence of their consistent deeds. Allowing actions to speak also deftly circumvents needless conflicts. When confronted with critics, doubters, or underestimators, a verbal defense often devolves into futile arguments. Yet, disproving them through concrete action silences them far more definitively than any rhetoric ever could. Success forged through quiet perseverance is infinitely more potent than any attempt to justify oneself with words. Those who act decisively have no need for self-explanation. Their undeniable results speak for themselves. Trust, after all, is not built on pronouncements, but on consistent deeds. Promises, however earnestly voiced, are hollow without fulfillment. Love is gauged not by how often it is uttered, but by how consistently it is demonstrated. Loyalty is never merely asserted, it is meticulously proven over time. The individuals we repose the greatest faith in throughout our lives are rarely those who make the grandest declarations, but rather those who have, through their actions, unfailingly proven their reliability. A robust character is sculpted not by eloquent words alone, but by a consistent tapestry of choices and decisions. Opportunities, too, invariably gravitate toward those who act. Our world overflows with dreamers, meticulous planners, and incessant talkers. But only those who translate intention into action witness tangible outcomes. Every towering success story is fundamentally constructed upon a foundation of relentless effort, calculated risk, and tenacious persistence. Those who perpetually await the perfect moment, who hesitate due to crippling doubt, or who dedicate more energy to verbalizing their intentions than to actually executing them, often find themselves perpetually tethered to the same spot. Meanwhile, those who take small, yet unwavering steps, without feeling the compulsion to announce every move, gradually construct something truly enduring and significant. Actions are inherently inspiring. When individuals witness someone laboring with unyielding dedication toward a goal, a powerful impulse ignites within them to emulate that drive. A teacher who embodies their lessons through action educates with far greater efficacy than one who merely recites facts. A parent who showcases strength and resilience imparts more profound wisdom to their children than any verbal instruction ever could. A person who lives by the tenets of kindness, generosity, and integrity silently but powerfully encourages others to embrace these very qualities. The ripple effect of action permeates subtly yet potently, sculpting the thoughts and conduct of those who bear witness. Moreover, those who allow their actions to define them carry a deep, quiet confidence. They feel no compulsion to constantly seek validation or external approval. They do not squander energy attempting to persuade others of their worth. They simply engage in what needs to be done, secure in the knowledge that tangible results will always speak with greater authority than any words. This profound confidence is unshakable, for it is anchored in lived experience, diligent effort, and rigorous self-discipline. Unlike mere words, which can be contested or dismissed, actions provide irrefutable proof of one's capabilities. There is also a profound sense of intrinsic fulfillment that accompanies being a person of action. When one's energy is channeled into doing rather than mere discourse, the landscape for regret diminishes significantly. In its place blossoms a powerful sense of forward momentum, of authentic growth, of purposeful movement towards something profoundly meaningful. Words alone may offer fleeting satisfaction, but they rarely instigate genuine transformation. It is action that breathes life into dreams, constructs enduring relationships, resolves intricate problems, and ultimately culminates in a life truly well lived. An individual whose actions speak volumes has no need to clamor for attention. They need not labor to justify themselves with inflated rhetoric or hollow vows. Their diligent work, their inherent character, and their unwavering consistency forge the most compelling declaration of all. And in the final analysis, it is those who act, not those who merely speak, who leave an indelible and lasting impact. To truly live for yourself stands as one of the most liberating experiences imaginable. Yet, tragically, countless individuals unwittingly forfeit this very freedom in their relentless chase for external validation. The innate human craving for approval is deeply woven into our very fabric. We all yearn to be seen, acknowledged, and appreciated. However, when this natural desire metastasizes into a dependency, it fundamentally erodes our sense of self. It compels us to seek external confirmation of our worth, rather than steadfastly trusting our own inner compass. The more we lean on others to validate us, the further we inevitably drift from our authentic selves. One of the most common conduits through which people pursue validation is through incessant oversharing. In today's hyperconnected world, where social media has rendered every detail of existence potentially public, there's often an almost irresistible compulsion to broadcast everything, from triumphs to tribulations, from relationships to nascent dreams. While sharing can sometimes foster genuine connection and offer encouraging support, it equally throws open the door to harsh judgment, corrosive comparison, and undue external influence. When we habitually expose our lives purely to gain approval, we relinquish a potent power, allowing others to dictate how we perceive ourselves. Oversharing is frequently misconstrued as authenticity, but genuine authenticity requires no audience. To be truly authentic means living in resolute alignment with your deepest values and making choices that intrinsically fulfill you, utterly irrespective of who might be watching. The moment you begin to measure your own happiness by the reactions of others to your life, you inevitably surrender control over it. You commence filtering every experience through the eyes of onlookers, endlessly speculating on their perceptions, their thoughts, and their potential approval. This insidious habit critically undermines your capacity to trust your own instincts and decisive judgment. The deeper your pursuit of validation, the more entrenched your dependency becomes. This initiates a precarious cycle where your self-assurance waxes and wanes purely based on the quantum of praise or approval you garner. Should applause erupt, you bask in self-satisfaction. Should silence or critique descend, self-doubt immediately takes root. This reliance on external affirmation renders you profoundly emotionally susceptible, effectively relinquishing your self-worth into the fickle hands of others. The inescapable truth is, universal approval is an illusion, and others' opinions are invariably colored by their own insecurities, inherent biases, and a limited comprehension of your unique path. Another insidious peril of seeking validation is that it compels you to live a life dictated by expectations that are fundamentally not your own. The more you reveal, the more entrenched others' opinions of you become, and the greater the pressure you feel to meticulously uphold a specific image. You begin to make choices, not because they resonate as authentic to your soul, but because they conform to the preconceived notions of others. This trajectory inevitably culminates in a life primarily dedicated to appeasing others. Instead of fulfilling your distinct purpose, you become ensnared in an endless performance, perpetually striving to prove your worth rather than simply existing as your true self. To truly live for yourself is to shatter the chains of the need to impress.